What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to MKO Boxing, aka MKO Pugilism, where we talk all things boxing. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube, and of course follow on TikTok. So, yeah, let's get into this one now. Now we're well into fight week. It's the first day of fight week now. This coming Saturday, we're gonna have Terence Bud Crawford versus Saul Canelo Alvarez, or the other way around, Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, whichever way you want to put it. Canelo's going to be defending all the belts, the four belts in the super middleweight division against Terence Crawford, who's had a career where he's only had one fight at 154, light middle, been undisputed at welterweight and everything. And yeah, again, two pound for pound guys going in the ring against each other. Very, very exciting times. And in this one, I'm just going to speak about the keys to victory for Saul Canelo Alvarez. I've done Terence Crawford's sort of keys to victory yesterday, little things that's in my mind that I feel will help for him to win the fight. So this is Canelo's one. These are a few things here that I think will aid and will be sort of keys to victory for Canelo, things that will help him win the fight. So, first of all, I think number one, I would say, is make it a rough fight for Terence Crawford. So, I think Canelo, obviously, he's the natural super middleweight. So, I think he's got to use his weight, use his size, use his strength to make this a rough fight for Crawford, because I think it's important that you rough Crawford up. You don't let him have his way. And I think some of these things Canelo's done in previous fights, like to Callum Smith, he was hitting the arms, he was hitting Callum Smith's shoulders, and he does these little moves where he hits you in the body, then he hits your arm, hits your shoulder, and he does these things like that, and he does it very, very hard. And this sort of thing can discourage you, it can bother you, it gives you pain, and you can't use your arms to punch because he's been punching you in your arms. And I think things of that nature are going to be helpful, sort of roughhouse tactics where you might hit the man in the body, then you hit him on his arm, hit him on his shoulder, hit him anywhere you can hit him. And that sort of thing, with Canelo being the bigger guy, the stronger guy, that should help him. That should, even if it gets Crawford complaining or whatever, just the fact that that sort of thing, you want to do that so you can bother your man, you can disturb your man, you can kind of throw the man off the game. And I think things like that might be able to sort of throw Crawford off a little bit. Maybe not. Secondly, I think the obvious one is you want to cut the ring off. So Canelo, he doesn't have fast feet like Terence Crawford. His feet are on the slower side, but I think, as they say, timing can beat speed. Timing beats speed. So I think he's got to use his time, and he's got to make sure that when he's in the ring with Crawford, he cuts it off. He makes sure he tries to get Crawford into the corners, limit the space that Crawford has to work in. He's got to cut that ring off and make the ring feel small. So Canelo tactically, he's got to always be on Crawford, and he's got to make that ring feel tiny. He's got to make Crawford feel like he's in a little phone box, like he's in a phone booth, as they say in the United States. So yeah, he's got to sort of use those feet, cut the ring off, and he's got to try and control Crawford, control where Crawford can move and where he can't move with his feet. So control that range, control the distance with his feet. And he's got to make sure that Crawford's got nowhere to go. So he's got to use his feet, get inside on Crawford, cut the ring off, make sure that there's no exits, make sure that Crawford's got absolutely nowhere to go, and he's cornered, and he's got to be wherever Canelo wants him to be. So those feet are very, very important. They're slower than Crawford's. But if he can step to one side, if he can corner Crawford, put the pressure with the feet, then he's on his way to a win there. Of course, another obvious key to victory would be working the body. And I think what Canelo's got to do is, obviously, as Crawford's the faster man, he's lighter on his feet, he's quicker in every department. I think what Canelo's got to do, one big thing, is work Crawford's body. And he's got to work Crawford's body from the word go. From the first round, he's got to make sure he's going downstairs, he's hitting Crawford in the body, because when you do that to a smaller man, you can, eventually, it might not happen in the early rounds, but it might happen in the later rounds, where you working away to his body from an early point in a fight can slow the man down. It can take his legs away, and it can bring his hands down, because he's constantly looking for you to attack the body, and that's when you can bring something over the top. So I think body work is going to be key for Canelo from the word go. From that first bell, that first round, he's got to make sure he lets Crawford know he's in a fight, and he's got to go downstairs from very, very early in the fight, as that can lead to him sort of taking away Crawford's legs and taking his energy away, sort of thing. And I think obviously related to this is part of it as well. That he's got to put Crawford under continuous and a consistent pressure. So he's got to always be using his feet, getting inside, and he's got to put that pressure with his feet so that when he does that, Crawford, because Canelo's right there in his face, Crawford has got to work when he doesn't want to work. He's not got the option to take the rest because Canelo's putting that pressure on him with the feet all the time. And I think Canelo's got to do that, put that consistent pressure on Crawford so that Crawford, in order to keep Canelo off, he's got to keep working, he's got to keep throwing, he's got to keep trying to move and try to get away. And Canelo's got to put that pressure on him so that Crawford has to work all the time, so that Crawford has got to work 3 minutes of every round. He's got no choice. He's got nowhere to go because of the pressure of Canelo's feet. And I think he's got to do that. That consistent pressure with both hands and the feet is another key to victory for Canelo. If he does that, then he's part way to winning. Just that constant pressure where he kind of makes Crawford have to move, and makes Crawford have to waste a lot of energy and move when he doesn't want to move. So by him doing that, by him making Crawford get under pressure and making Crawford waste energy, then it weakens Crawford for the later rounds. So also another thing I would say is that what Canelo has to do is he has to be a good counter puncher in this fight. He doesn't have to be high volume or anything like that, but he has to make sure that he counters Crawford and he makes Crawford pay for every single mistake. So he's like put that front foot pressure on him, and every time Crawford misses, Canelo's got to make him pay, and he's got to make him pay with power shots. Because I think when you make your man miss, you make him pay with powerful shots, then it's going to discourage him and it's going to make him think twice before he comes in again. And I think that's another thing Canelo's got to do. He's got to counter Crawford on the front foot in this fight. And every time he counters Crawford, whenever Crawford misses or whenever Crawford hesitates, he's got to hit him with something, and hit him with something hard to make Crawford think twice about coming in again, or make him think twice about throwing another punch, because he's just been countered with something hard and he'll think, well, I don't want to do that again. So counter punching on the front foot, should I say, is very important for Canelo. And I think, as I say, another key for Canelo will be, sort of conserving energy by, as I said, I think for Crawford's going to have to be high energy, high volume to win this fight. It's got to be making it clear to the judges. But I think Canelo, because of him being the favorite, the bigger guy, the stronger guy, he can actually kind of conserve energy by being very precise and very economical with what he throws, and making sure that when he throws, they're sharp punches, they're intentional punches. Everything he throws is intentional, it's sharp, it's accurate. And he's got to make sure, with, as I said, counter effectively, counter with hard shots and eye-catching shots, and make sure that everything he throws, Canelo, is hard. All these counters that he's got to throw, he's got to make sure everything he throws is hard and it's eye-catching for the judges to see. And as I've said, yeah, he can afford to sort of start the fight conservatively, low output, but he's got to make sure he goes downstairs to that body, works away at that body from early with hard shots. And then I think what the last sort of key to victory for Canelo is that I think in order to win this fight, he's got to make sure that he finishes the stronger of the two. So what he can do, he can be low output throughout this fight as long as he's throwing those precise shots and he's going downstairs and he's pressuring with the feet and all that sort of thing. And what he can do is he can conserve energy throughout most of the rounds and win with the pressure and the countering. And then when it comes to those championships rounds, those 9, 10, 11, 12, I think that's when, to seal the deal, Canelo can sort of step up the pace and begin to put a bit more volume together, begin to put his punches together that little bit more, and just dominate those last rounds. So I think a smart thing for Canelo is to conserve energy early on, but still put the pressure on Crawford, still make Crawford do all the work. But then when it comes to the championship rounds, that's when you use up your energy. That's when you start going through the gears. That's when you start sort of working away and throwing a high volume of punches in those championship rounds. Because if you do that, if you've laid the groundwork with everything else, with the body work, with making Crawford work, and making him work when he doesn't want to work, making him uncomfortable, roughing him up. Once you've done all of that, in the last championship rounds, that's when you do your work. That's when you step up the pace, and that's when you start throwing punches in bunches, powerful punches. And when you do that, I think that will at least seal the deal for Canelo on points if he does that. But even it could even be better for him. He could even take Crawford out if it's all worked going into the championship rounds. He can step it up and win a fight in that way. But anyway, that's just a few keys to victory there for Canelo. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. And until next time, it's MKO Boxing over and out.